Joyce, we are live here on Awards Magnet after the Golden Globes. We did it.
Something is gonna go awry.
No, nothing. It's going to go off like a hitch, without a hitch. With
Like
a hitch? Like a hitch. It's going to go off like a hitch. It's already starting great.
If you're talking about the iconic Will Smith movie Hitch,
It is already starting so well. Joyce, the Golden Globes happened moments ago. They ended about 11:15, I would say. So we're, about 20 minutes ago. What was your big takeaway from the show, I guess, first? How'd you like it?
the show in general, I thought was fine. I thought Nikki Glazer was great. We just like it happens in every award show, you see the host few and far in between as the show goes on.
Mm-hmm.
But she started great.
I realized during the show, Joyce, that you are a birthday twin of Nikki Glazer.
Yes, we are.
I noticed this because I was looking her up, and my wife has the same birthday, and I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, Geminis are the best, so.
So I was like, oh, no wonder she's so good, because she's a good birthday.
Obviously.
Fantastic job. They should absolutely bring her back. And also maybe have her host the Oscars. No disrespect to Conan. But man, she was so good.
Conan will be exemplary at the Oscars.
Okay.
Excuse me. She can host the Oscars next year.
So let me ask you, that was one of the things I wrote down before this. Was like, are we going to have like a great year of hosting? Because I'm like, Nikki Glazer was great. I'm expecting Conan to be great. We never have great hosts in all these shows, but maybe this year is going to be different.
Yeah, Kristen Bell, who's hosted the SAGs before, is going to be the SAGs. We're already way off topic here. But,
it's about the show. We're talking about the show. It's
Nikki,
very nice.
I know, but Nikki was good. The winners, I thought were good. I mean, I don't have issues with any of the winners, really, except for maybe Jeremy Allen White for The Bear, an absentee Jeremy Allen White. But overall, I thought the winners were good. Honora shut out.
Yes.
And we were, when we did our predictions last week, we were discussing what surprises, we want surprises. So there were several, in terms of odds, at least, you might be predicting, or did predict some of these, but they happened. So odds-wise, they were upsets.
So the big winners were Brutalist won 3 awards, including Best Drama Choice, Best Director for Brady Corbet, which we talked about this. It is Corbet, which we know now.
Yes, we've been saying Corbet for months. Too,
and Adrien Brody, Best Actor. Emilia Perez wins 4 awards. Best Comedy Musical, which I predicted. I don't know if you ended up switching to it at the end, or did you stick with Honora?
No.
But you didn't stick with Honora. You did predict it.
I didn't switch to it. I had it in second because it was 10-time nominee.
It moved up to second, I think, by the end of before the show started.
I think Wicked was in second.
When we did our picks, and then I think Emilia Perez moved up, but we had said I felt like it was underestimated. When 4 awards: picture, musical comedy, non-English language film, best song for El Mal, and Zoe Saldana for
your wife's favorite song,
supporting actress, and Zoe got up there for El Mal, which I was just like, this is perfect. I was so impressed with all the campaigning. We'll talk about this later.
The show was bookended by Emilia Perez wins, just like the internet wanted.
So I thought that was great. Demi Moore winning Best Actress over Mikey Madison was a huge moment. I know a lot of the Substance fans in the chat over here were excited as well. And Fernanda Torres winning. Joyce.
Yeah, I mostly love Demi and Sebastian Stan, our guy Sebastian Stan, winning back to back.
I love that too, and I love Sebastian Stan giving a shout out, doing such a great job of bending his acceptance speech to mention the Apprentice.
Shout out to Apprentice.
It just is, everything was so masterful. I felt like in terms of the campaigning, it was wonderful. So I guess let's start there then in terms of the show. So there were some odds upsets certainly, but Brutalist wins Best Picture. When Conclave won Best Screenplay, Joyce, I have to say there were visions of Conclave winning for me in my head. I had predicted Conclave would win. And I was like, oh, this is it. It won Best Screenplay over Honora. How exciting. And no, it didn't. It just won that Screenplay award. Was not maybe a signal of Conclave's strength overall, but maybe a signal of Honora's weakness overall with this group.
Yeah, well, when Conclave won Screenplay, I did see some tweets of is both Honora and The Brutalist in trouble? I mean, I think I don't know how many people expected The Brutalist to win Screenplay, but I think for sure a Screenplay was seen as Honora's win.
Yes,
right?
we talked about this, right?
Yes. So, but then that was also before the acting awards for them too. So, I mean, it was a nice win for Conclave in screenplay. I was not worried about the Brutalist necessarily because like its big categories are actor and director, which it obviously won.
Right.
So, and then after it won those, it's like it's probably gonna win picture. So,
Right.
but with Anora, yeah, like it could have still won from Mikey and comedy musical after losing screenplay, and it did not. So
When it lost, when Mikey lost Best Actress to Demi Moore, I was like, that's it. I knew it was. I knew Emilia Perez was going to win. I just was like, oh, I was right about this one. I've got my picks were absolutely annihilated. I saw people being like, did Chris change his picks? No, he just went down with the ship on all of this. I think I got like just absolutely creamed on my Globes movies picks, Joyce. I think you probably did a little better than I did because I had like Jacques Audiard winning Best Director. I had Conclave winning.
you did.
I went deep on. I went deep underground with my picks, and not did not do well. But so, I guess let's talk about the actresses then before we get to other stuff because that to me feels like the other acting wins. We mentioned Adrien Brody won Best Actor in Drama. Sebastian Stan won Best Actor in a musical comedy for A Different Man. Just a laugh riot. Joe, I don't know about you. I watched that movie. I was guffawing so much.
You did not like that movie, but that is a dark satire. It's not dissimilar to if you remove the gore from the substance and what it's doing. So
It certainly, but I wouldn't say either of these are really comedies. But I was so glad Sebastian Stan won, obviously, and I think he won partially because of what a great year he had and that they loved him so much. He was the only double nominee to win at the ceremony, and clearly, I think The Apprentice helped that win to me.
yeah, and obviously the category was also weak. Jesse Eisenberg, like we've discussed, was the only nominee whose film was nominated in other categories. But as has been the issue with his performance this whole season, is like no one is backing him,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like it feels like he just got nominated here because they have two categories, you
Correct.
know. So
So then you get to the actress categories, right? And we mentioned Zoe Saldana won for supporting actress, and Kieran Culkin seemingly again like just steamrolling through here. I feel like he is Devine Joy Randolph, Kei Kwan, like that's it, right? Like that one, I feel like we're gonna when we get to phase two, that is gonna be the category we talk about least for going forward.
this is why phase one is my favorite because there's just not as much to talk about in phase two in a lot of places. So um, yeah, yeah, both supporting categories. It feels like they're ready to just steamroll him
Yeah,
and Zoe. They got done with those early on in the show.
we mentioned like when we were doing our picks, and I'm sure we've talked about this a lot, like how it felt like different movies and whatever, but like Zoe Saldana was more like Robert Downey Jr. and like Ariana Grande is like Ryan Gosling, and then last year at the Globes it was like, oh, okay, like he's Robert Downey Jr. won and that's it. And I think I'm not sure Zoe Saldana will win everything. Like I still think Ariana Grande could win at SAG and potentially Critics' Choice, but at this point I'm also like, what if Zoe Saldana just kind of steamrolls through? Everyone likes her. She's worked with all kinds of different people. Like it's
She
very
can just
clear.
steamroll. I don't
She could.
because like as we know that movie is beloved, and I think while Wicked is certainly bigger and more populist, I think it's like Barbie, as we've also
Mm-hmm.
mentioned before. Like it's just it'll get some wins probably in costume design and production design.
Hopefully.
It also won the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award, just like Barbie did last year.
And just like
So
Barbie last year when it won that, not to sidetrack here, but when it won that, I was also feeling it just felt like to me that is a it just is a bad vibe. I don't know. It's like, oh, you don't want to actually win. I like we said that going in, like, is that a danger to like win this award and then it makes it feel like less serious or something? I don't know, but it just is like I felt like that happened last year with Barbie and this year, and I wonder if next year will they actually submit Wicked for good in this category next year, or will they try to maybe not do that and see if they could win the musical comedy prize?
I mean, maybe one day there will be a movie that wins both that award and one of the real awards. Uh, today was not that day.
No.
So, but I think it's more that both of those movies, Wicked and Barbie, are just, you just could kind of tell like it was not going to be taken as seriously when we get to the business end. They're very good movies, obviously very successful, but I feel like the bloom is kind of off the rose a little bit. Like, yeah, obviously Barbie opened way earlier in the summer, 18 months ago. And I think Wicked really benefited from the late release. So we were in that honeymoon period for a couple weeks in late November and December. But now it's like, it could certainly, like, it's getting in, obviously, Best Picture, but it could certainly lose steam going forward.
It feels like maybe it will, but I will see. So the actress prizes were great choice, especially coming off the BAFTA long list, which we had on Friday, which we have not spoken about in real life. But we did talk about, obviously, in our...
We have spoken about it in real life.
Oh, yeah, but not here. This is real life, Joyce. This right here is real life. All these people.
Though? Is it?
I don't know. It's not, because this is a green screen and stuff behind me. But, so it's not really real. But anyway, in the best actress races were... I would say the most exciting, certainly, of the night, and provided the best upsets of the night. And coming off the BAFTA long list, feel very significant to me. So Demi Moore obviously said one comedy musical actress over Mikey Madison, who was widely predicted to win and remained like certainly out in front, far out in front. I'd say in terms of nomination, getting the nomination for the Oscars, right? Like she was first.
She's the safest for the nomination.
But now I'm like, oh, Demi Moore, she won, and I was like, great. The Substance Hive in our comments is going to say how much we hated the Substance, even though it's not true, and this is that, and like whatever. But then I was like, oh, when she gave that speech, I was like, this was the best speech of the night by far. Fully like leaning in to, I was discarded. I was only thought of as like a box office kind of draw, and not even
popcorn actress.
And I never thought I would be here in 40 years, and here I am, and this is the first thing
45
I've ever won.
years.
And it was great. And I was just like, this is a great speech, and I feel like she's absolutely like, I had her 2, actually, and I during the show, I moved her up to 1. I was just like, screw it. She's going to win.
Well,
I was like, she was so well received in the room, it felt like, watching it. And then we heard from people who were in the room that it was a great moment. I was just like, oh my God, like, I think, like, how is she not going to win here, I guess, would be my take.
She's still currently at 11:47 p.m. Eastern on January 5th in 5th place in the Oscar odds. I think she'll rise pretty quickly in the next couple hours.
So what we saw from the BAFTA long list, too, is that the Substance is beloved, at least with... I would say it overperformed with BAFTA on the long list. That doesn't mean it's going to get all those nominations, but I think it's very well positioned to be one of the 5 best film nominees for BAFTA.
Oh, yeah, I have it in Best Picture at BAFTA.
Yes. And so I'm like, I just think that the movie is so strong. It's got the makeup win, probably. And while
makeup
it is...
acting.
Makeup plus I just was like, and she's got such a great narrative. I feel like she could easily win at SAG, right? Like if she's not... We all expected her to be nominated at SAG.
She has like an easier time winning at SAG than at the Oscars, probably, because they love a narrative.
Yeah. And I just am like, I think she's going to really kind of carry through. And she could even win BAFTA because it seemed like the movie was so strong with BAFTA, at least based on the long list. So I was like weighing on Demi Moore now. And I just think the Substance is going to like do really well. I had it in for picture, and obviously in director, I still think, and actress and supporting actress and screenplay. And I think it'll get in for editing too at the Oscars. I just think they're going to go like very hard on this movie now. You could just tell again in the room that people really responded to it. Even before she won, when they did the bit with her and Margaret Qualley, people were really into that bit, it felt like.
That bit was not great. There were too many presenter bits were way too long, I should say. The only one that gets a pass is Seth Rogen and Catherine O'Hara's. But a lot of them just went way too long. But no, Demi's speech was great, and yeah, definitely the speech of the night. And it was a great speech because it felt off the cuff, but not like it's like it didn't feel like it was like pre-written, but she probably like thought about what she was gonna say, like obviously she didn't have her phone out like Brady Corbet did, but she was like it just felt like she was a good extemporaneous speaker, kind of like Viola Davis is like these people who just know how to succinctly articulate what they're gonna say and the message. And she did that. and she threaded it so wonderfully with the message of the movie as well, and obviously that has a natural tie-in with the arc of her career and her experience in Hollywood. So it was just like a perfect cocktail for her.
It was such a good speech. I'm going to read some of it, Joyce, because I have it here. I've been doing this for a long time, over 45 years. Thank you for correcting me before. And this is the first time I've ever won anything as an actor. I'm just so humbled and so grateful. 30 years ago, a producer told me I was a, quote, popcorn actress. And at that time, I made that mean that this wasn't something I was allowed to have. I could do movies that were successful and that made a lot of money, but that I couldn't be acknowledged. And I bought in, and I believed that, and that corroded me over time, to the point where I thought a few years ago, maybe this was it. Maybe I was complete, and I had done what I was supposed to do. And I was at a low point, and I had this magically bold, courageous, out-of-the-box, absolutely bonkers script come across my desk, and the universe told me, you're not done. I'm like, this is like, that is so good. I was like, this is... this is just,
and like... it's really like the perfect situation for it because of the themes of the movie. Because I was thinking, like, if the substance were not about what it's about, like, she could still give a good speech winning for whatever other movie that she would have made in this imaginary world, but it wouldn't have felt so perfect, you know?
It was absolutely perfect, and she did a great, like you said, like, totally felt off the dome, even if she's been planning it, and like, it was just a wonderful moment. And I was like, oh my god, like, it just felt like I think she's going to do just kind of carry through now. I'm like way in on this. I just think like it just feels like somebody in the chat here, I forgot who it was, I'm sorry, was saying like it feels like Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere, where I think it's obvious. I think it's a stronger performance, but I'm like, it does feel the same kind of thing where it's like this is a longtime actress who maybe has never been thought of in this space, gets the chance and is not going to let it go, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, she's run a great campaign so far, and you know, when she said like I've never won anything before, I was like, that's true, you know. And I don't know if it's like as much of like, oh, we need to like give her awards now, because, you know, as she pointed out, like she never thought of herself as worthy of these awards because of that producer, what he said to her 30 years ago. So I don't know if it's even like people are like, oh, we need to award her now, but I think like what she said was just so universally relatable, you know, and I think that goes more of a long way. And it's also like, you know, like 2 years ago, Brendan Fraser had a narrative as well, not the same one, obviously. And it's like, they fell for that one too. So like, there's like, you know, it's like, why wouldn't they go for this one?
Did you see, I think it was the Hollywood Reporter Actors Roundtable, right? It was her and Zendaya, Tilda Swinton, right? Wasn't that the one? And they were talking, I think it was Zoe Saldana talking about like the scene when she's like going out on the date?
So like Demi was talking about the substance, and Zoe was like, oh, there's that like really great moment, and then Tilda interrupts her and was like, the going out scene, like they all knew, and like that's so relatable to women everywhere, not just
when
actresses.
I watched that clip, I was like, oh shit, okay, like this is it. Like they were all so into it, knew immediately the scene, like you said, like it's so relatable, I think. So anyway, I was like way in on that. And then the other actress win, Joyce, coupled with the BAFTA long list, was Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here, which I had predicted when we first
did her
this,
a month ago.
And then I changed it. I think David L. is going to be so upset with me because I know I had dropped, I had switched off to Nicole instead of Fernanda Torres, but I never really believed in Angelina Jolie there. And Fernanda Torres had the stronger movie with I'm Still Here because it had the international or the non-English language film nomination. Pamela Anderson also had a second nomination, but for song, so we didn't feel like Last Showgirl was as strong. And Fernanda Torres wins. So in the span of like 3 days, Angelina Jolie is left off the BAFTA long list, which means she didn't finish top seven, and then wasn't a jury save from 7 to 13.
8 to 13.
Whatever, 8 to 13, right? Math is not good, Joyce, and it's
we know you don't.
It's almost midnight. It's almost
you don't math or English, so.
It's really good. Other studies I'm really good at, right? Math
social
and English,
studies,
you
right?
don't need a lot. Is social studies a thing? Earth science, was that a thing?
You claimed you excelled in social studies.
I did also like earth science. I had a great earth science teacher.
Oh, I did not like earth science. And I took earth science in 8th grade.
Do we have time for a tangent on earth science? The teacher was I guess I was a freshman in high school. Joyce, I used to hate wearing jeans. I wore sweatpants because I just hated the idea of wearing jeans. It was so tiring. And I didn't like the idea of having to change out of jeans into sweatpants for gym. right? Because phys ed, you had to change. And so I used to wear sweatpants, and the earth science teacher was a younger teacher, and he was like, you can't wear sweatpants to school. And I never forgot that, and I never did again. And now all I do is wear jeans. I don't even wear sweatpants in my real life now.
Wow. And that's all he said? He wasn't even like pressuring you to...
Yeah, no. I'm very susceptible, Joyce. We've seen that. If you tell me one thing,
the last person in your ear, and that's it.
Anyway.
My earth science teacher did not adjust my wardrobe for me, so...
So none of my studies are great. I didn't have Fernanda Torres winning either. And that's so... So back to this. But Angelina Jolie misses the BAFTA long list on Friday. And like you said, she was not a jury save in 8 to 13, assuming she was in 8 to 13, right? We have to imagine that based on the ranks. And then doesn't win here at the Globes.
She was first in the odds, and we've discussed how like neither of us believe that. We didn't pick the right winner, but
Correct.
we should get, you need to get points for not predicting.
You always say this.
You're calling the losers,
so,
like calling the snubs.
Jolie was first in the odds. I've been like teetering on dropping her. I've dropped her and put her back into 5th and dropped her. I felt like the whole season it reminded me of like Leo and Killers of Flower Moon, only because it was like everyone was predicting this, former Oscar winner, and it just didn't seem to me like it was going to pan out. That doesn't mean that she's not going to get an Oscar nomination, but right now I'm like, this is a tough beat. I mean, we're assuming she's going to get it at SAG, right?
But what if she doesn't?
Well, if she doesn't, then I guess it's Good Night the Lights. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know how do you not, so she won't get a BAFTA nomination, miss the Globe win, and then now we'll see if she gets in at SAG. That would, I'm still predicting her at SAG. I would actually be shocked if she doesn't get in at SAG. But she's also not going to have any wins going into the Oscars, it feels like, or the Oscar nominations.
Well, I don't think anyone was expecting her to win anything but this.
Well, you're right. That's what I mean. But she didn't win this.
But it's like she could still get into the Oscar 5 if she theoretically gets a SAG nomination that shows like some strength,
Right.
So like we're not talking about an Oscar win here for her.
No. I'm just saying in terms of before the nomination, she doesn't have any real chances for a win because I don't think she's going to win at like Critics' Choice.
No, but she just needs to show up places because she can't show up at BAFTA obviously. And she's had a poor showing critics groups. Like obviously she wasn't gonna win the highbrow ones. Like Marianne Jean-Baptiste just completed the trifecta on Saturday, winning National Society. But like not even the regionals are nominating her. And Natalie Portman and Kristen Stewart killed with regionals for Jackie and Spencer.
You said this the other day, and I think it's true. Is that it just feels like it's such a tweener movie?
It's getting lost.
It's not highbrow enough for the critics who are going to be like, it's not like Fernanda Torres.
And it's not like Spencer style. It's like, and it's not middlebrow enough.
It's not Naiad. Right. So it's like, it's kind of stuck in this nether region where it's not getting either side. So now I'm like, okay, so I don't have her in, but I'm like, Fernanda Torres, great win and was excellent. And people really love that, especially like we said, our Brazilian fans are Legion, Joyce, and they were so psyched. I saw them in the chat here.
Brazil is Legion everywhere, so.
But now I'm like, and you mentioned Marianne Jean-Baptiste winning the trifecta, right, of all the critics groups, and could potentially win at BAFTA maybe, right? Though I think she'll at least hopefully get nominated there.
She can get nominated, unlike Angie.
Right. Where do you think this is going to... And then Fernanda can't get nominated at BAFTA. So, like, where is this going to go? I guess people are pointing like actresses who have missed the BAFTA long list who've gotten like Penelope Cruz, right? Recent, like Parallel Mothers year, like that would be maybe a comp here, or I don't know. But I'm like, how is this gonna shake out? And who we always said this is gonna be like, there's gonna be at least 2 major snubs in Best Actress. But now, what are those snubs? I guess right now as we're talking.
I mean, I don't think this. I mean, this win is great for Fernanda, but I don't think this locks her in for the Oscar nomination either. She's an 8th in the odds there. But I think what this really shows is just as we've known from history, just how great Sony Pictures Classics is.
Well, that's the thing, right? You've always said that they're great.
They're ninjas.
Yes.
They work behind the scenes.
Yes. And my good friend Tom Bernard always said, like, he knows exactly who he's talking to and how he's getting his movies out. And I think now that it's very clear, based on again just the season, that their best chance at a nomination in one of these above the line categories is her, right? Like basically. At
Yeah,
this
I
point.
mean, also the Room Next Door flopped on the BAFTA long list as well.
Yes. So Room Next Door maybe kind of outrun,
yes.
maybe not happening, even though it showed up on the long list in a couple of spots.
So with Fernanda, I think she could miss the Oscar nomination in the end, but I think what her win really does is also kind of, you know, like effectively take out people like Angie maybe, and even Nicole.
I feel like
right?
Nicole probably needed to win this, right?
Nicole, I don't have her in SAG. She did make the BAFTA long list, so she could get nominated there. But it's just getting really crowded because you have I think most people have the 4 comedy musical actress nominees in their Oscar 5.
Yes.
So if they all make it, Mikey, Carla, Demi, and Cynthia, if they all make it to the Oscars, then there's just one spot left. And even if you think like, oh, I don't know, like Cynthia's gonna miss or something, that's 2 spots. And there's all
Still
these other
4,
there's like the highbrow people or the highbrow contenders like Marianne and Fernanda. Right, and like even Nicole is kind of highbrow because of like what Baby Girl.
Nicole's
is,
highbrow. I think if she would have won tonight and given a great like she gave a speech at the Palm Springs International. It was
she
like
cried.
the other night. Yeah. It was a beautiful speech. I'm like, she is so great up on stage. Obviously, everyone loves Nicole Kidman. And I think having her up there, like paying tribute to her mother and talking about her family, and if you could just imagine her on stage tonight, and like it would have been like a moment, along the lines of like Demi Moore's speech, right? And we would be sitting here like, oh my God, she's obviously getting in. But she didn't have that moment because she didn't win. And so now I'm like, oh man, if she doesn't, if she's going to, really, that was her best chance to get that moment, right? Like she's not going to win Critics' Choice based on the nominees there.
Nicole's not nominated.
I know.
Choice,
so she's not going to win there. And she's maybe not going to get nominated at SAG. And then like, okay, so that's a tough beat. So I don't know if she's out, Angie's out. Like between Fernanda Torres and Marianne Jean-Baptiste, like I don't know.
Like if it comes down to passion picks, like who's gonna have more passion behind them? With like, because Fernanda also hasn't been popping at the Critics Awards either.
Right.
So it's mostly been Mikey dominating regionals, and Marianne is right behind, but she has the big 3.
Right.
And then Nicole won NPR. So yeah, like who if it is like down to Fernanda and Marianne for that one spot, like who will have more passion behind them? And we've talked about Bleecker, which is behind Hard Truths, not a SPC. Let's say. Right.
Certainly, we've seen Sony Pictures Classics is like one of the best at this, like you said, like and getting actresses in or actors in there, and they're. Do you think if they get Fernanda in, they could get a screenplay nomination too? That was the other thing.
Maybe. I mean, I've had I'm Still Here in and out of Adapted for weeks.
Same.
I think I have it out right now.
I just put it back in, and I put her in. I think at the Oscars. Yeah, I already was like, fuck it, I'm just changing everything. I'm putting these people in.
We need to someone needs to take screenshots of Chris's predictions before an award show and immediately after, because he always makes like almost wholesale changes.
The only thing would be Fernando getting like I don't like she's not gonna obviously can't get BAFTA. I don't think she's gonna get SAG. So then it's like, does she lose any of this momentum here, or does it like speak to an international maybe interest? Is there more international appeal for her film than even like Hard Truths, right, or something like that? I guess we don't know, but we'll know I guess after the Oscar nominations. But I think it's got to be between. I think those 2 actresses have got to be ahead of Angelina and Nicole at this point, whatever the odds say.
I mean, they certainly have the hardware to be ahead of them, just like data points. So, but then there's all this amorphous stuff, like just, obviously Angie and Nicole are way more famous and then way more established with more connections.
2 people, so I saw people mentioning this in the chat. Kate Winslet, any shot choice, long list of BAFTA. So she could get nominated at BAFTA. She could get nominated at SAG too.
She could definitely get nominated. We talked about this last week. I was like, Lee is way more basic than I was gonna say Maria.
So Kate could get Golden Globe nomination, SAG nomination, BAFTA nomination. That doesn't mean she'll get an Oscar nomination, but she's definitely going to be carried through, I think.
No, yeah, she could definitely hit those and come up short. I feel like she just wouldn't get the number ones.
And then, do you think there's any chance that one of these four actresses in the comedy category, like you were mentioning, could any of them get snubbed? That was the other thing I was wondering.
Yeah, and right now I would still say Cynthia, um, because I think, uh, even though Honora bombed today,
Hmm.
I think that's still a strong Best Picture contender. I think Mikey is still safe. I think Carla, obviously, in the industry loves Emilia.
Carla giving a speech at the end when Emilia won Best
I
Picture.
was talking about this with somebody over the weekend about how like Carla is gonna give the speech if they win picture or international. Like she'll find a way because she's not gonna win actress, right? And then she did. So and then yeah, so the three of them, Demi too, and I feel like yes, Cynthia is more vulnerable of the four of them. So
I think so too, but I was like also worried that maybe what if Mikey is? I don't know. I was like, I don't
because
think
she
that's
lost
possible.
tonight.
No, but I rewatched it last night or whatever on Saturday night. I rewatched Nora, and I love it so much. But I was like, I could just see like, what if we're just all overestimating the movie because we love it so much? I mean, I don't think that's true. Obviously, she's gonna get nominated everywhere, so I mean, probably she's safe. But it just was like, oh, it would have been nice if she won. But whatever. What are you gonna do?
I mean, I think it's a different conversation. We're talking about the win for the Oscar, but I think she's probably still good for the nomination. It's yeah, I think I was I was thinking like after Demi's speech, I was like if Mikey had won, like her speech, no, God bless her, I love Mikey. Her speech would not have been to that level. Obviously, she doesn't have the life experience, right? But she's also more shy,
Right.
Like I think she would have given a perfectly fine speech, but
I
it would not have been at the level of Demi's.
No, I don't. I mean, no, and through no fault of her own, like you said. I
No.
gotta say the best thing she's done, I think, on the campaign that I've seen is her Criterion Closet thing. I thought she was like so funny in that, and like really
Yeah.
cool and so excited. I was just like, this is great. Like she's just done this over and over again. Um, yeah. So that's the actress that was the most exciting in terms of what we're talking about in the Oscars. I felt like that was the best moments because everything else kind of went according to plan. We had talked about like for Best Actor, Adrien Brody won Best Actor Drama. If Timothée Chalamet was going to mount some kind of stand here or any of these other actors, right? Like Colman Domingo, I continually see people like falling over themselves how much they love him, right? In these roundtables or on the red carpets. I saw a clip of John Lithgow and him from this weekend. John Lithgow was like going nuts for him. I'm like, this guy is beloved. If any of these people were going to win over Adrian Brody at the Oscars, I feel like this would have been a great place for them to start showing that they can do that. But I also think it's just going to feel like who is going to beat him, maybe, and who is the alternate because if it's not, there's really none, all of those guys, I feel like all would have similar, or not similar, all of those guys would have their own really strong support. And there's not like really a consensus too. You maybe would say Chalamet, but I think you could argue Colman Domingo or Ray Fiennes, right? Like they're all like really in the mix there for that second spot, and maybe that helps Adrian win also.
The Conclave High was probably feeling really good of that after that screenplay win for
Mm-hmm.
Brave, you know? Uh, yeah, I don't know if Adrian will sweep. I think he's still vulnerable at SAG.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but like Critics' Choice, which has not voted yet because they always start voting after the Globes. It's next
Yes.
Sunday, so they could just rubber stamp him with a
Mm-hmm.
win at the at Critics' Choice next week. I think he's vulnerable at SAG just because SAG is very mainstream and there's so many of them, very populist. Uh, and he could take BAFTA, so like he could just miss SAG and just not have like the 5 for 5
Right.
before the Oscar. But yeah, I think it was a tough day for the Adrian Brody haters, the anti-dictors. I do
Yes.
think like Timmy uh, is a threat, but I think the the scale of the brutalist is, I don't want to say it's undeniable, but I think it's just so much greater than what Timmy is doing in A Complete Unknown, or even, Coleman and Sing Sing and Rafe in Conclave.
It's funny because I feel like Coleman Domingo and Timothy Chalamet will absolutely win Oscars in the next like decade, but I actually don't think they're going to win this year. I think Adrien Brody will win his second, even for this, even though they're up against. I just am like they're both very beloved actors and they both are doing great work, and it just feels like they're going to be honored. But at the same time, it's not undeniable for Adrien Brody, but I'm like it does, and when he gives that kind of speech like he did tonight, which is like so powerful or whatever, like I was just like, oh man, I don't know. I just was like, I just think he feels like it's tough to pick against him until he actually loses something. I guess we kind of talked about this. Like I wasn't going to pick against him, even though I really love Timothy Chalamet. I wasn't going to pick Timothy Chalamet here, just because like how could you pick against Adrien Brody until he shows cracks? I guess.
Yeah, and even if he does lose at SAG, I don't think like that is going to be the last award before the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
The voting will have closed before that's given out anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know, like, if I would not pick him for the Oscars if that's all he loses.
We've seen, like, last year, like, for instance, right, like, Lily Gladstone won SAG, right? Emma Stone won everything, like, a lot of other things. And, like, this year, if it's, like, Coleman Domingo and SAG, I still don't know if that would make Coleman Domingo, to me, like, the Oscar winner, that kind of thing. So
yeah, like, I think Coleman and Timmy are threats at SAG. So, like, I guess it'll be similar to, like, Casey Affleck, because he lost the SAG to Denzel.
Right.
So,
and then
but he won the Oscar.
So then our fave, Sebastian Stan, Joyce, inaugural second, or real inaugural, no disrespect to Jordan Hoffman, but like the real first guest we had, wins for a different man. Now, we both, do you have him in for the Oscars? I have him in still. I have him in my fifth spot.
For The Apprentice? Yeah,
yes.
I put him back in last week, right? I don't know. What is time? I put him back in a while ago.
So that's another movie that did incredibly well on the BAFTA long list, including getting on the Best Film long list. It had 6 mentions, I believe.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't mean it's going to get 6 nominations, but great sign if you think both Sebastian and Jeremy will end up as BAFTA nominees. To me, feels like potentially likely.
Yeah, I have them both in at BAFTA, also because they have 6 slots.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was a great day for The Apprentice on Friday, and I think it also speaks to what we've talked about before about how international voters don't have the same hang-ups over this movie as maybe Americans do, because they're at a remove from Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So and we've talked with him too about like all the messages, the private messages he gets from fellow actors and filmmakers about how much they enjoyed the movie and loved his performance.
Right.
And in the privacy of your own home when you're voting, Oscar voting starts Wednesday, same day as SAG nominations.
Yes.
Like, you could vote for The Apprentice in a bunch of categories and no one will know.
Yes. And so I thought him winning tonight was great because he gets up there. And even Adrien Brody, when he was talking about...
He said Sebastian Stan twice.
Yes, which I was like, this is great. I was like, all of this felt really good to me. And I was just like, I just think, and the way Sebastian Stan like bent his speech into The Apprentice, I thought was like really great because he didn't really shortchange a different man. I thought he was really like gracious and like, said really strong things about the movie that he actually won for, while also reminding everyone that he's in another movie that is very difficult and challenging and really good and worthwhile, and he's great in it as well. So I was like, this is a great speech in front of all these people at the right time. I do think he'll show up at SAG, and I think he should continue to show up on these things. I'm still not sure whether I think Jeremy Strong will carry with him. I kind of hope he does, but I'm trying to figure out who I will drop to get Jeremy Strong in at this point.
Yeah, so Seb's speech was probably, I mean, in terms of like content, or I guess like serious content, the second best after Demi's. If you're talking just about content in general, Colin Farrell, way up there, man. But Seb's speech was similar to Demi's, just threaded the needle perfectly with the messaging, tying it back into both films.
It was great. It was
and then
great.
the overall theme of fear.
Yes.
And being afraid to confront fear. And yeah, it was also similar to Demi, like, he probably thought about what he was going to say, but it still felt natural and off the cuff, right?
It was
Not
great.
Overly rehearsed. So it was just great. And then I love my Stacky. I love Mackie, the following presenter with Harrison Ford, and then he was like, Sebastian Stan's my friend. Then like all the backstage photos and videos, like I'm just devouring them right now. So
It's
he
really
interrupted
good.
one of his interviews, probably all of his interviews. So I love them.
It's really good. I had so I was trying to figure out who to put in. I was thinking of dropping your Borisov in my picks because right now I have obviously Kieran Culkin, Guy Pearce, Denzel Washington, Edward Norton, and Yura Borisov. So that's what I have. I dropped Clarence Macklin, but now I'm like, what if I drop Yura and put in Jeremy Strong? I'm gonna wait to see what happens at SAG because I think that'll be indicative of like where obviously actor support lies.
The Apprentice popping so well on the BAFTA long list really complicates supporting actor.
Yeah, it does.
And also because Jeremy's performance is just so baity. I mean, I think if you talk to most people who've seen the movie, I think a lot of them would say he's the MVP. Like, no shade to Seb, who's also excellent,
Yes.
but I think a lot of people are just like, how is like Jeremy not winning more awards for this performance? And he's actually won more, or he's been nominated more certainly than Seb has, because I think Seb is also having issue with both his films in the mix
Mm-hmm.
in lead. But yeah, I think he could definitely get in at SAG, Jeremy. So and
And
then it's
BAFTA,
like,
because like you said, there are 6 slots.
yeah, and BAFTA. So then it's like he's hitting everything. So then is he just gonna come up short of the Oscar nomination?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like he might get in. Yuri Borisov is so great in Anora, I think, but he also isn't really a factor until like the last half hour, frankly, right? Like that's where the meat of his performance is, even though he's so good throughout. I was just like, I don't know. And what if again, how much of like it seems like this season especially, we've seen this before, where like the online thoughts or like clouds like the judgment of predictions. But I'm like, that's certainly seen that with Emilia Perez, which has been underestimated online while it's continually racking up dozens and dozens, a record long list mentions, a record Golden Globe nominations, and won 4 awards tonight. It's going to probably lead all the movies at the Oscars nominations, right? Like he get like 13 Oscar nominations, something stupid. Like it's going to do so well. And it's continually underestimated online and on Letterboxd because people don't like it. And the same thing with Anora, where it's overestimated because I think people really do love it mostly, and maybe we're over predicting it based on that and its critics support. I don't know, but I was just like, what if I drop Yora and put in Jeremy Strong? I guess we'll see. I'll see what happens at SAG before I make that choice.
I mean, you could say based on Honora's performance tonight, like maybe it is weaker than we all thought, and maybe that spells trouble for Yura because he's also not obviously as established as someone like Jeremy Strong too.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say it's weak, right? Because we know like there's no crossover between there's no industry voting for the Globes, right? But it's like it does feel like the vibes around the movie weren't ideal tonight in the room, or I don't know, maybe I'm overestimating how it played when they even announced the nominees. Joyce, I had a question here on the side. What was Jeremy Strong wearing? Can you do it? Want to do a
The
tight
best
10 seconds?
the best outfit of the night, like it was
Looked
like
great.
LL Cool J and Jamiroquai's baby, like LL Cool Jamiroquai,
Jamiroquai,
the
that's
best.
good. That's
I was waiting for him to sing L to the OG.
Oh my god, he looks so good.
Oh my god! If you're hating on that outfit, get out of here. I don't want to talk to you.
No, this person said yes, Joyce. I agree. I gotta say, people think he's such a stuck-up guy because he's like an
not.
actor, but he's
not.
clearly nobody could wear that outfit and not be.
Okay, everyone should watch his appearance on Kimmel a couple weeks ago. He was a backup, a guest. He was just in town, and they texted him, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And then he unlike Kieran Culkin, he's into astrology, and he introduced Jimmy and I think everybody, including me, to like primal astrology. It's like animals, and he's like, go to his website. It's real. He's a salmon. So everyone, you could just go watch the clip. I forgot the website. I think it's primalastrology.com. But yeah,
I'll look it up after,
yeah,
Joyce.
yeah.
I gotta look it up after.
But he's not humorless.
No.
So.
All right. Last thing before we go to TV, because we were going for a little bit. I wrote this down in my notes. Emilia Perez versus The Brutalist equals Green Book versus Roma. And is that what we're headed toward?
Neither of those movies are as extreme as those movies in what they are.
But look, like, is that? I mean, that is really feels like what we're headed for. Where there's like a camp, the film elitist crowd is weighing on Roma, and then the industry is weighing on Emilia Perez and Green Book, right? Like that kind of thing. And like, I just think that is maybe what we're tracking towards. Where Netflix this time will end up on the other side of that equation.
I also wonder if Netflix is just gonna go like whole ham on EP. Not that they haven't, but you know, obviously that was their priority. But with Angie not winning this and missing the long list, it's like they could just really focus on Emilia right now.
I've got it getting so many nominations, Joyce, at the Oscars. This was even before the Globes. I just am like, I don't think you could predict enough nominations for this movie, and I think the industry has time and time again shown that they absolutely love it. Alan Cumming was talking about it. I forget, it was the Palm Springs thing or the Golden Globes event on Friday. I forget where I saw him talking about everyone loves James Cameron loves this movie. I was like,
he's biased, but yes,
I know he's biased, but also he's kind of the guy who I'd be like, he might be like Oliver Stone-esque, like, great, but I'm not into this, right? Like, I don't think he would be bullshitting James Cameron.
Did you look at the IndieWire poll of the directors?
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of Emilia mentions there.
It is, the industry loves this movie, and I think it's
also a lot of several Apprentice mentions in there too.
Yes.
So.
I'm just like, I do think this feels like Green Book, at least in terms, maybe not in terms of how people think of these movies online. At least I think, for rightly or wrongly, Emilia Perez is being kind of considered as like a Green Book-esque type thing, while regular audiences really do like it, right? Like, you know, like real, like I think people are liking the movie, industry likes the movie, and then with The Brutalist being like the obvious film bro movie of all film bro movies, it's like the peak film bro. And maybe that was like Roma was.
I mean, I think Brutalist is more of a film Twitter movie than the bro movie, because like Brady Corbet is not a film bro director. Like
I think he is.
Like,
I think
know who he is.
Like
maybe now like they're fans of him, but not before this.
Yes.
But it's more of like a film Twitter title. But the thing about the Brutalist is like I feel like it obviously has a lot of fans, but it doesn't feel like it has these like devout hardcore stands, like even like something like Power of the Dog had. You know, it's like they just have a lot of fans.
I mean, I don't know if I'm like, yeah.
And I don't know if that's because like, you know, there's a lot of film Twitter love for like Anora too. These other, and it's like split maybe, I don't know, but it feels like it's obviously strong, and it's like the prestige movie, the epic. Like even like Flower Moon obviously had a lot of ardent stans. You could say it's the Marty factor, but it doesn't feel like on that level of like the same kind of love.
Right.
You know, it's like maybe like a rung below. So.
Do you think those are the top two now for Best Picture, based on this?
Yeah, I think also like even though Emilia is polarizing, I feel like it's not like polarizing like it is online, like. With the industry, like if the people who hate it probably wouldn't rank it like 9-10 like the internet would. It might just be like 6.
I think that's true too. I think, and I actually, outside, like in real life when I talk to people, I actually don't know, like, well, that's not true. I guess I know personally, like David Ehrlich, I don't think liked the movie at all, right? But so I know him personally, but I'm like, I don't talk to David a lot.
But he's in the industry. If you're talking about like normies.
Normies I know who like watched it are like, the worst I've heard is like, it's fine. You know, like it's not like they're like hating it, gnashing their teeth. So I don't know. I'm just like, okay. I think those are the two now at the top, and even more so than Conclave. And like I think it's like Emilia Perez, The Brutalist, and then like Conclave and Nora, Wicked, probably, and then The Substance maybe in 6th or maybe even higher. I think it's like top 5 maybe at this point. I don't know.
I think I have like Dune in 8th.
I think I have Dune in 8th, and I think I still have Sing Sing and A Real Pain at the bottom, despite them not showing up on the path to long list. I have them too.
I dropped Nickel Boys last week, even though I had 101 odds on it. I don't know, because I feel like right now all it's really riding on is like critical acclaim.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have. We talked about like it has critical acclaim, but not as much as we thought maybe, right? It didn't win like a lot of these, like it didn't win New York Film Critics Circle at least, so I don't know. I mean, it's done well elsewhere, obviously, including National Society of Film Critics, so I guess we'll see. Joyce, do you want to do a quickie on TV here? So Shogun,
save the best for last. TV.
Saving the best for last. Shogun sweeps 4 wins, including Tatenobu Asano, which was one of the great moments of the night.
Yeah.
Great speech. He was so
also
psyched.
was so much younger, clean shaven.
I loved it so much, and I was so glad he actually won something, because we talked about this back in the Emmy cycle. Man, he's so great in the show. He was the best part of the show, and it would have been a shame for him not to win something for being the best part of this great show. So it was great that he won.
I still think about his death poem.
Yabu's death poem. So Shogun wins 4, Hacks wins 2, comedy series and Gene, which we both discussed and predicted widely. Jeremy Allen White wins comedy actor, which I had predicted actually. I went back to him, or I never went off him. I know I talked about Adam Brody. Like you said, just totally, he wasn't even there. So it just felt like so great. And just like,
Jeremy is, got an off day from the Bruce biopic. Jeremy Strong, not Jeremy Allen White.
and Jessica Gunning wins for Baby Reindeer. I guess the only other surprise, like we said, was Colin Farrell winning over Richard Gadd, and then Kristen Milioti not winning. I had the wrong Penguin person. I got both those categories wrong because I was like Richard Gadd and Kristen Milioti will win, and it was actually Jodie Foster, Globe's favorite, and Colin Farrell, a Globe's favorite. So while the Globes are different than the Globes used to be, they still love these actors.
Yeah, like I felt pretty safe with Jodie. I was like, I can see her just winning this, and she was excellent on the show. Don't talk to Nick Pizzolatto, obviously. And yeah, like Colin winning that, I mean, it should have been for Sugar. Let's be real. Maybe it was for Sugar. Maybe it was like Sugar Penguin, double. Do
you think so? And then Baby Reindeer, the 3 shows that we all expect to boo and win. Do you think that? How does this impact like what we're going to see at SAG, if anything? Did the Globes matter in terms of like carry through now?
No. Like it's
okay.
It's just not the same. I mean, like you'll see like some of the same titles, but like not like it doesn't matter. Like I think like Shogun Shogun will probably just steamroll throughout the rest the season and drama, and it won the original Shogun, the 1980 version.
Mm-hmm.
Also swept the drama categories. It was a mini series, but it competed in drama at the Globes in '81, and it won drama series actor and actress. It only had 3 nominations, so it also did a clean sweep, just like FX Shogun did tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But they went 4 for 4. I also love when they were saying like the announcer was like, "Oh, season 2 is coming." I'm like, "Is it?"
It is, Joyce. They sent out the press release. We read it. It's in print.
I mean, that was word salad about seasons 2 and 3 being.
They're working on it.
And then Justin's whole speech.
Justin flying very close to the Ben Affleck son, where he's like, marriage is hard work, and then we saw how that ended up. So I was like, Justin, really tempting fate, and God love him, but I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, and then Anna, because she also won TCA, the individual gender neutral category there, like so she could complete like that sweep of TV awards too if she keeps winning. And then Jean is back. She lost for season 2 to Quinta Brunson. And then Hacks also now joins All in the Family as the only shows to win comedy musical series again after losing, because it lost to Abbott 2 years ago. So
one of the things I thought of when Jean won, I saw people being like, oh, she kind of like foamed in her speech. I didn't think she did. I thought it was really good. And the one thing I really liked was that she immediately was like, I'm not up here without Hannah Einbinder. And I was like, yeah, hell yes. And let's get that SAG nomination, and let's get Hannah Einbinder an Emmy.
Well, that's too bad SAG voting closed just as the Globe started.
I know.
So
I know it did, but maybe she got in this. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe she got in
their one category.
She could maybe fit. And then, I don't know.
And then Jeremy winning for The Bear, again, a three-peat, was hilarious because we talked about last week about just how weak that category is, and then something we've always talked about is how it feels like the Globe voters are just defaulting to the big shows because they mostly care about film there and not TV, and that's what this win felt like. It was like all these other people are too weak, and it's just, we've all seen The Bear.
Yes.
Like, do we like season 3? Not as much as the first 2, but like I didn't watch A Man on the Inside. I didn't watch season 2 of Shrinking.
Do you think? Let me ask you: do you think that Colin Farrell winning gives him a leg up at SAG now to win?
No.
I kind of think it might. I don't know. I'm like, of course I think that, but I was like, I kind of think it might because like people really love Colin Farrell and he's so memorable on the show. Well, I know like they could divorce. Like, maybe they divorced Baby Reindeer from Richard Gadd. I don't know. But any other TV thoughts, Joyce, before we wrap up?
unlike last year, we had surprises this year. I think last year was very predictable with the big three shows winning Beef and Succession and The Bear. So I'm glad we got some surprises this year. And Beef winner Ali Wong won again tonight for stand-up.
I was just going to say this. I kind of feel so... When I watched her win, I felt so stupid that I wasn't, like, predicting her to win because she won 2 Golden Globes. I know Jamie Foxx is probably, is not, like, a slouch, and I think I had him, or did we switch to Nikki Glaser? I don't even remember.
But I definitely had Nikki, and then you were, like, vacillating. I think you switched. You felt peer pressure because of the odds.
I'm sure I did. But yeah, Ali Wong winning, and I was like, well, of course she won. She won 2 Golden Globes last year, so like they know her, like they love her. So why wouldn't she win? It just felt like so obvious in hindsight. But that was one of the bigger upsets of the night.
Yeah, I mean, I got it right last year because I just went with Ricky Gervais because I was just like, they know him, former Globes host, and his special aired over Christmas. But I don't know how to predict this going forward because I don't watch stand up. Like I've seen Seth Meyers' stand-up because I love Seth.
And I saw Sanders, which
I haven't seen the other ones. So
I gotta say, Nikki Glaser was great, though. Made me want to watch her special. I was like, wow, she's so funny.
I mean, she was a great host. I wanted to see more of her on the show. What did you think about the fun facts for all the presenters and winners tonight?
I like facts. I don't really. None of them. They went off in my head like it was just completely
they
sliding
flashed
right off
so quickly, especially when there were multiple ones. It's like no one has time to read that, and you can't read, so that was really tough for you.
It was
probably.
Tough. It was really hard.
The best one was Demi Moore's because it was like she was born in Roswell, New Mexico, which is famously, or it's like famous for. Like aliens or like suspicious
Area 51
suspicious like listen, I watch Roswell, you don't need to tell me anything, but like just the way it was phrased was hilarious of like alien activity in Roswell, New Mexico.
I thought overall the show was great though. I was in on like Nikki Glaser. I thought she was really fun. I the presenter banter, hit and miss for me. Some of it I thought was actually fine. People were mad about it, but I was like, some of this is fine, some of it's not. But
like the actual jokes, I think were fine. But like they were just so long, and then I was just kind of like, the show's gonna run long because this material is so long, and then speeches will probably be cut short.
But they did a good job not really cutting the speeches off.
Yeah, I feel like Zoe was the only one who was played off, and she was ironically the first award.
And they knew she was going to come back for El Mal to give another speech. That she didn't win that award, but she was still up there.
And then the cinematography of the show, wow, a lot of close-ups.
I really liked. How about the Google Maps like pins?
The GPS pins.
That was it.
I was like, why? And then like at a certain point, they didn't do that for one category, and they went back to their old way of presenting, of the presenters like talking about the performances or the nominees. I was like, oh, did the GPS break? But then the next category, they did it again.
They had it back. No clips, which I know people were mad about. People love clips, Joyce.
Globes doesn't usually do clips except for like the series and film categories, but they don't do it for performances. So.
But yeah, otherwise I was way in on the show. Like, bring Nikki Glaser back. She should absolutely do it. I feel like the ratings will be good and people will be like talking about it. And I thought she was great. So we'll see if they do that next year.
She also struck the right tone of poking fun at the industry without being mean.
I knew she was going to do that because I saw, I think, in one of our Joyce, I think Ray Richmond, our own, was at the Golden Globes presser thing.
Like, yeah, he talked to her.
And I think she was saying, like, she was not going to do any, like, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni stuff.
Yeah, that got a lot of play.
And I was like, when I saw that she was going to not, because I feel like the instinct would be to obviously do that, right? Like, and, like, kind of lean into that. And, like, that she wasn't going to do that. I was like, oh, she's actually going to do a really good job because, like, she'll play really well to the room then, because she's going to be, like, making fun of things that she can make fun of versus, like, being mean to get, like, people at home who don't care about this stuff laughing, kind of.
Do you think Seb and Leighton Meester had a Gossip Girl reunion?
Oh, that would be cool. I hope so.
Yeah.
That'd be great. That would be really nice.
Your favorite show?
I love it. How about the Vin Diesel saying hi to The Rock? I love that.
Iconic. And then his dramatic, like, I felt like 5 years passed before he read the winner.
Fantastic. You know, Fast and Furious 11 is supposed to come out this year, Joyce. Or is it?
Maybe it'll win cinematic and box office achievement next year.
I don't think it's actually coming out this year, Joyce. I don't think they've even started filming it yet, maybe.
They could film that tomorrow, and then it'll be done. So
Otherwise, great show. Uh, I think that's about it, Joyce. We could wrap it up there. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. We're not going to have a mailbag episode probably for another couple of weeks because we're so busy, Joyce. But keep sending those
well,
emails.
it's just because things are happening on Fridays now.
Yeah.
Like PGA is on Friday this week, and then
Yeah.
obviously next Friday, you know what's happening.
What's next Friday, Joyce? Is it the?
It's the Friday before Martin Luther King weekend and Inauguration Day. So
Oh, and the Oscar nominations are that day.
Wow. Oh,
Wow.
is it? Oh, wow.
Who knew? We'll be back Wednesday, Joyce, with another live show because this was so much fun. We had so much fun being live on YouTube. We'll be back to talk about the SAG Award nominations, where we'll say similar things to what we just said here, probably. Who can say?
And they're not going to be announced on Instagram Live.
No, I know. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So.
And then we have DGA on Wednesday, WGA on Thursday, PGA on Friday, cinematographers, art directors,
All
and
the
a partridge
guilds.
in a pear tree.
That's not how it goes.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. If you watch this live on YouTube, this is so much fun. If I didn't read your comment or even reference it, I apologize, but I was really reading. You guys were great in the comments, and I appreciate it. I'm sure Joyce does as well. And we'll be back on Wednesday. All right, Joyce, have a good night.
Bye. Is it over? That was so long.